is the first live stream of Pickmere Parish Council meeting. So we'll see how it all goes. Okay, receive apologies. I've had one apology tonight from Chris, who's gone now. So I'm sure you'll all join me in wishing him a speedy recovery from his winter illness. Okay, the next item is to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Do you want to have any objections to that?
My group 2 runs Village Hall. I sent you an email about it, saying that it was in fact to be open to any residents as well that wanted to come join. Because I've had 2 or 3 of the residents that had expressed an interest in it, the working group for the Village Hall, for the grants and everything.
Okay.
Because the minutes just say that it was to be councilled.
Okay. Do you want them to be permanent members of that group, or is it's probably a bit misunderstood, or is it that you will be going to people who've got specific areas?
Members.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
Does that change the mechanism at all for how they're selected, or...?
We still need to do the terms of reference for that group, so we'll just include that on the membership. It's a working group. Got no powers, no financial powers. It's
Sort of a shop.
yeah. Yeah.
Ideas.
No problem.
Good. Anything else from the minutes? No? Okay, so for no matters arising, I was going to just quick update on the action log from previous meetings. So today we have 104 actionable items. We have 39 which are currently open. So we're hanging around about the 30% mark already. Declaration of interest. So we're getting declaration of interest, financial or otherwise, on the agenda. Okay. To the public forum. No. Okay. We're moving quickly on. So report from the police. I understand that we haven't received a report.
No, unfortunately, I'm able to do a report this month.
Okay, so we don't have that, but we do have a report from Kate Parkinson. So Becca reports that the situation is rather dire in Cheshire East, and they're looking for ways to cut more costs. Cheshire East are now asking parish councils to take over a large portion of maintenance of their areas. I don't think there's anything on the list that we circulated that affects Pickmere. We're still trying to get the road sweeping to get done, but unfortunately that's part of the cost cutting. So there's asking councils in Pickmere to set their precept accordingly for the next financial year. In anticipation of increased costs of services. So that's something to consider. And she mentioned that she attended Ashton by Butler Parish Council meeting on Tuesday. And Peter mentioned that a member of the Pickmere Parish Council had contact from by letter over Pickmere Lake. He was inviting abandonment to a piece of land in Ashton by Butler territory in Pickmere. Move on.
So supposedly someone from the council has contacted
Ashton by Butler.
searches.
Is this not about, the only thing that I can think that this could be about, but it's certainly not me, is that did you go and ask about the stream at the top? Right, well, I do know this because Susie Schmidt told me that I think that Marston Borough Council, Parish Council might have wrote to somebody, but certainly
It doesn't seem to be confident. Chris hasn't asked me.
I can't imagine so.
To buy a piece of land at the top
No,
of the
not
No.
to buy it, just about it.
No, about it. I think that the thing that was in question that I believe that was about the top part of the lake where it's not getting dredged, so we're getting this water problem in the village. You know, it's certainly at the lake and that's what I thought that it would be about when you've just said that. That was my first thought.
I think we should write
Yes, but
United Utilities
they're
about that.
they're not in charge of it anymore. They're the United Utilities.
Yeah.
And I do know this,
Carry on
when we
with
were
that.
part of the EU, there was no dredging, was there? But I've certainly not wrote
But
one.
Chris has also got a thing about it. I don't think it's that,
Yeah,
because he hasn't written.
Chris might have been Chris that spoke to Susie. Susie's spoke to somebody at Marston. That's what it might.
Anyway, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, so it seems to be nothing to do with the parish council, so maybe it's just a misunderstanding. But I said, okay.
The only other thing that were there, that parish council name to come up recently was with the police and crime commissioner when we were talking about getting everyone together who has an interest in the lake. But none of us were planning to contact them. That was going to come from the PCC.
No, well, maybe we can ask them some clarifications. Which member of Pickmere Parish Council?
Yeah, well, she didn't seem to know. I just told her that I didn't think it'd come from here anyway.
A parish council members contacted them about Pickmere. Well, it could be just a confusion.
I don't think
James to do that.
No, it's just a check.
nothing's come through. The, so,
That's in the mind. It was written to what been actually.
Well, the problem with the drainage from the Pickmere Lake, yeah, it's the streams all blocks up, and the bottom of Field Lane, Dark Lane, it's still flooded across, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's ice both sides.
When we went to the EU, dredging was all stopped, wasn't it? Everywhere. I didn't know that.
Well, they did the thing is, they did a major,
Andy Williamson.
they did a major clean out, and also they dug drainage things into the drainage channels into the field, that's it, into the field afterwards. So it's increased the amount of water that's going in there anyway.
And probably carrying some silt with it as well.
Yeah.
So I think we have an action item to go back.
Yeah.
We'll move on. Okay, finance. To note the current financial position, does everyone see the monthly summary? Comment. Okay.
Yes, why have we bought selection boxes?
We were nominated £250 for the market, but I didn't use it, and so the council paid for selection boxes for the children at Sanders Grotto.
Did we agree that?
Yes.
you don't need to agree, the budget is allocated to Lorraine. So Lorraine had a delegated budget. Lorraine has a delegated budget to put towards events and community.
So which one?
Isn't that just for council events? Wasn't that budget just for purely for
It
council?
didn't say that, no. 9 minutes. It said something about community engagement and events.
But,
Because
I mean,
wasn't our event, was it, or?
well, it was for the village.
Yeah,
It
to
was
say
for the village.
it wasn't our event.
No,
That's
but
why I wanted to know whether it was a parish council.
no, but it was for the village and to buy the kids,
And we very much got involved in it, didn't we? Because you worked, I worked, Lorraine worked. You know, so we all.
Oh, yes, and hospice abuse, that was a parabellum.
thing. Well,
They were responsible.
they put the name to it, but I
They paid for it.
I still believe that we were very much involved in it as we opened the pavilion to serve teas and coffees. I served more wine. And
We charged for that as well, didn't we? The opening of that.
For the pavilion, yes, and
Okay. Well, I mean,
Sorry, I'll just have a look at this myself. Just out of interest, the problem. I just see it as a slight problem, which is a shame. Just having had a look at it now, because we have a budget, don't we? Which I don't deny, and that's great. We've got a budget, but it's for sort of infrastructure and things like that. Is it?
What?
I just think going forward, I think something like selection boxes might. We need to think about how we use that money, because
It's public money, isn't it?
yeah, it's precept and tax money. And
yeah, but you are allowed to spend it in that way. If you're worried about the financial regulations, you are allowed to spend it in that way. And my understanding is that you gave children from the village a selection box, and they didn't when they went to see Sandra, and they weren't charged.
Well, it's not particularly children from the village, children from anywhere.
Well, you can't stand at the front of Santa's grotto and say, where do you live?
Which
Not really.
it's not for the village, isn't it? If it was open to everybody.
well, I think families came. My nephew came with his little girl, and she went in and got a free selection box. You know, she's 3 years old. He's my nephew. He's lived in the village. He doesn't live in the village anymore. But
as Amy was saying, they can't do anything about what happened in the past.
No, that's
I
right.
take it on board that maybe in future people want to be more.
I mean, I think it's a nice idea. I think selection boxes are a good idea, and I don't think there's any issue with that. I just think we need to be very careful with how we spend allocated money. I think that looking at that, I think that could be misconstrued as not spending money in the correct way.
Especially when, like tonight, was due to set budget for next year. And we're asking potentially for an increase in that precept.
Okay, well, next time as a council, we agree to give anyone money to spend if you want to put stipulations on it.
Yeah, you'd need to do it then, not in hindsight.
Yeah,
But personally, I don't have an issue with children getting chopped up.
No, do I? I just think we need to be very careful when we're talking about tax. It's just and where it comes from and how it's spent. Because I don't want us to be in a position where people are questioning it.
Okay.
I think you're right, going forward, yeah.
I do have to sort of echo, sorry, what Chair said, though. It was agreed that you delegate the budget. So if in future you feel that there needs to be strict guidelines to that, you really do need to say it
I think
when you
you're
delegate
right.
the budget.
You're right, yeah, you're right.
So that everybody knows.
It's all right,
Because-
delegating the budget and then not allowing you to spend it.
But it's spending it in certain ways and not spending it in others is really what we're saying. We have to be careful because this is people's money. This isn't our money. It's tax. So we have to just think about how it's being spent.
Well,
and how it's being
once they
distributed.
ran out, provided the rest, I never came back to the council, but I went out and bought more.
So moving forward, there's nothing wrong with the way the money's been spent. You are allowed to do that. It's a delegated budget, it's a community engagement, and there's in terms of what you agreed and what was done, there's nothing wrong. If you feel that expenditure was maybe not appropriate, then next time delegate the budget, there should be.
Yeah, I just think that's all.
Yeah.
It's really very expensive.
Okay. Anything else in the budget that anyone wants to raise?
But also for every child that actually came out of the village, I think it was very enjoyed.
Sure it was. Well, we're moving on now.
So just a quick one, are we going to have to get some more, invest a bit more money for pest control with the hole in the wall there?
You did at the last budget.
Yeah,
You
we've
did the
got some, I mean, I'm specifically for that because we're also going to need to repair the
Yeah.
hole, aren't we?
Yeah, but,
Just saying.
okay, but we're going on monthly receipts just at the moment. So
Sorry, could I set the pavilion hire? Was that the event at the weekend? Yeah.
Because it wasn't council then.
Yeah.
To come under the insurance, and then she had to hire.
No, it's the other way round.
Oh, is
So
it?
her insurance hadn't been for the pavilion, she
Oh,
hadn't
right.
covered the pavilion in her insurance, so therefore she had to rent land from us.
All right, yes, sorry.
Yeah, it's the pavilion
Yeah.
to be able to use the public liability.
Oh, that was providing to other facilities and tea economy.
Yeah.
But we once again commend Lorraine for some increasing revenue for the village hall and now the pavilion.
Yeah.
Anything else before we move on?
Do we need to approve that?
You need to note it, say you've looked at it.
Okay.
New paper?
New payments, we have actually got some this month, so the electrical safety certificate for the pavilion had run out or could not be found. So that's been completed now, so there's a payment of £240 due for that certificate. It lasts for 5 years, it's a requirement of your insurance to have it, the building's being used. There's some advisories have come up, but it was too late to go to this meeting, so I'll go through those with you. The thermostat's been replaced on the boiler here. The boiler's not been working, so that's £150 on the thermostat to keep this building warm. And the PAT testing's been invoiced incorrectly. So we were quoted £100 and then they only charged us 50, and now they've realised and come back, which is fair enough. I wasn't sure whether they'd done the pavilions cheaply because there wasn't much in there.
It just said pat testing village hall.
Yeah.
But where's the?
I know,
Yeah.
and I did check with her, but anyway, so I've just received an extra invoice for that. And then there will be, there's an invoice for Pickmere Press, which I think is agreed at the beginning of the year, so it's £20 for this edition of Pickmere Press. So if those payments are okay, I'll pay those.
You're meant to do it, so. So,
To agree, so just noted.
just noting them.
You know, as when they can all be done under the clerks,
Okay.
That's fine.
Um,
Just check.
but as long as I need to make you aware, so you're all aware of that, as long as you're all happy.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, and just to know that, as part of getting the living salary scale revision, for 23-24, and that will be backdated to August.
Just know that, that's not all good discussion, just.
Yeah.
That's the award, not a pay increase.
Just saying.
No, it's not up for discussion, you put me in and out.
I was going to propose something. No discussion.
Did agree to use that contract. So. Okay, and then it's the most serious finance thing of the year. It's set the discussing and set a preset for 2024-25
Okay,
for the financial officer.
yeah, I'm sorry for the people who did request the full files. There was a lot of work there. You can see how much work I put into it. So I just want to start with the caveat that I'm a new clerk. I've come halfway through the year and you're a new council. So I have worked really hard at putting your budget together. I think I've been very prudent. So I don't want to panic you or worry you. It's just that I just want to make sure you've got enough money there. Particularly in terms of utilities, I may have overestimated because if I knew how much utilities were going to be, I'd probably be doing another job at the moment, to be honest. I think you're in a good position. However, your preset does not cover your running costs at the moment. That's the big problem. And that's something that you're going to have to sort out in the future. As a council, you run on a receipts and payment basis. So as a council, you're not there to save money. You're not there to just put money in reserves. You need a certain amount of reserves to meet your financial obligations. But you don't need to have tons of money sat in the bank unless you are saving for some capital expenditure. And I'm surprised, if I'm going to be honest, that the auditor didn't pick up on the reserves that you had this year. And that's because they were put into particular categories. But if you just go on putting them into categories and not spending, then you will be asked why you're doing that. If you say you've got a playground reserve, it's expected that at some point you will be spending that. So that's the way I've worked on it. I've worked on you keeping 6 months running costs in the bank. That is something that you're supposed to do, and that's in case all income stops. But if Cheshire East stops paying you, your precept, we're all in trouble. This will be the least of your worries.
Is that a possibility?
No, not really. It's very, the council would, no.
Isn't it all
Never.
factors, though?
Well, yeah.
I mean, yeah,
I mean, there's a couple gone bankrupt.
I'm going to say never.
Yeah.
In the parish council, they still have their precept words. And so 6 months is, I think, a generous reserve, because you just wouldn't keep running your buildings, would you, if you didn't have any money coming in? And then the rest of it, you can see on there. However, I only found out a few days ago that £10,000 of those reserves is still money. What's that? It's the money you get when there's been infrastructure and building put up around, and it has to be spent on infrastructure and building within the parish council, and it basically has to be spent next year. So that £10,000
This year.
That's
Yeah.
what I said regarding the seat issue, couldn't use still money.
Yeah. And I really thought there was only 9 pence left in the budget. And then I got a request to find out. So quite correctly, the still money had been put into reserve areas, but I wasn't aware of that.
Right.
But I am now. So you want to spend it, because otherwise Cheshire East can ask for it back.
So basically, we've got £10,000 to spend.
On infrastructure.
On infrastructure.
Infrastructure, yeah,
That's what it is. It's
by 2025.
By April 2025 or
It
budget?
is April, then I've got to report on the budget.
or it'll be
Yeah.
It'll be 5 years
today,
won't it?
about 5 years from the day when you got it from.
Yeah,
So for all the new houses that will go, still payments were received for those.
But surely some of them must be coming up for 5 years.
well, you've got 12 months left, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have spent the first ones first, won't you? So
To be honest with you, most of it's started around about the lockdown.
Yeah.
So it's the
Oh, yeah, but
start of lockdown is really the starting target.
Yeah.
And then,
what to lose then?
well, you only lose it if you don't spend
Spend
it.
it.
yeah, if you lose it, it's not.
So there's lots of things need doing infrastructure wise, isn't there?
There is.
So see whether, it's up to you where you spend that, but it's something that maybe you need to come back in February and have a definition on where you'd like the money to go.
Sure, we've all got things just whirling around in our heads at the moment.
One of the things around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and then because obviously the running costs are not met by your precept, I did a couple of calculations on increases, and unfortunately, a large percentage increase is only a small amount of money because you're a small village and because there's not that many people contributing. So I think the 15% that I put on, I suggested, is it £5-6
Yeah.
per household?
Yeah.
So 15% sounds an awful lot, but an extra £5 per bandy is not a huge amount of money. So it's up to you. I mean,
Is that per month?
Yes.
but 15% over the whole
Oh, right,
year, over the whole as a precept. But I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know if you feel that it's appropriate to put that amount of increase on, or whether you'd like to go for a little less, or.
Didn't Cheshire East had about 15%.
I think
5%.
I don't know what they're doing for next year.
for next year, I think.
I mean, it seems that people they're saying about 5% for inflation, aren't they?
Well, the last figures I saw didn't.
What was
It
the
gone from 8.
last precept? It wasn't so high, it was only about 7%, wasn't it?
There has been a higher one before.
I think there was.
What was it? What was the precept?
Stage.
Yeah.
Was it 12%?
12%.
12.
It was 12.
There were many years where there was no.
When there was no increase, yeah.
been for about 57 years, so it's not.
Which I can understand why, you know, you don't want to do an increase, but then you have.
I don't really think we have much choice, do we? That we have to do an increase, but it would be nice to be able to make the residents aware of just exactly what their money is going on.
Yeah.
And what we are doing or planning to do, or
Yeah, definitely.
But having said that, just to bear in mind that we'll still be running at a deficit.
yes.
Yeah. So,
So it's important then that we do get at least that.
checking our income and the precept, we're still
Way out.
like £6 short, aren't we? Somewhere in that region.
So,
But unless utilities come down and income from the village home pavilion increases.
but
Yeah.
I mean, that is why we're pushing using our assets as much as possible, because we know there's a deficit. But we're, you know, there's a long way to go before we plug that deficit.
Increase.
Well, given the inflation and cost of living crisis,
Yeah.
it's another hit to somebody in the village, isn't it? That,
Yeah, it is.
that maybe they're on that fine line. We don't know, do we?
And quite a few people are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, got to be very careful that, and that's why we should be very careful about what we're spending money on.
We have the 15%.
So you did a bigger figure as well, was it 17.5 as well?
No, I didn't go
Oh.
to 15 actually. Stopped at 15.
Did you?
I did 0, 5, 10 and 15%.
But I mean, the way I look at it is we're running a deficit. We're going to have to recover that deficit over the next 4 years, the term of this council. But we are in the position that we do have these reserves. Because without it, it would be special measures or whatever the term would be. I think, you know,
But we did careful attention does need to be paid to it though, because it's no good us coming to the end of our term of whatever and saying to the next council that come along, sorry, we spent all your reserves. Tempting.
well, we would leave them with the reserves they need. Which would be, you know, for me, I think it was not
6 months.
well, in 6 months. I think it should be more than that, but
Yeah.
we have a might.
You can put more if you want to.
It would it'd be nice to be able to put a year to one side, but that's the only reason I say that gives us a year of catching up if we needed to. It's just that,
Having a year aside.
yeah,
I think 6 months is okay, because we get the 3 steps every 6 months, don't we?
we do, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's just nice that, I mean, is it in 6 months' time we have another 6 months? Well, I don't know whether we just put the year to one side.
Well, if we get the 3 steps in April, we're
Yeah.
okay for 6 months, aren't we?
Yeah.
So that money's still there.
Yeah.
So 6 months
No, I see
later
that,
on,
but
we've
yeah.
still got 6 months.
It sort of rolls over, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
But if
yeah.
we've got what all I'm saying is if we've got a year there, bang, it's right, we don't have to think about that.
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot,
having
yeah.
the-
It is a lot, yeah.
Now it's coming to this much, yeah.
Acceptable, so to have 12 months in reserve is a lot of money.
It is.
I can't emphasise that you are not here to save taxpayers' money and put it in a bank account somewhere. You are here to make sure
Yeah.
that you do things with it for them. And you're all in that situation.
And at the end of the day, we're all going to be impacted
Yeah.
as much as anyone else. We're voting ourselves into the extra payments as well.
You are.
I think
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, you can step aside, can't you? Yeah.
I mean, any increase is an increase, but for a Band D property, it's £6 per year
Yeah.
that we're talking, not per month.
No.
So we're talking,
It's about 40 pence a month.
I'd rather other places spend the precept is higher than ours. In Finland.
oh yes,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, you are quite low. I got the
Is there many Band D in Pickmere?
Let's say probably not.
That's
To be more than that's
what I'm
promotion.
saying. I don't think there's many that Band D, is that?
But they do the calculation on banding so that you can find the average across. So they will have calculated in Pickmere how much money will be coming in from that. But you are low for surrounding,
We're one of the lower ones, aren't we?
You are.
That's the thing, yeah.
there's, I mean, Walton, lower. Yeah, I can say it's not.
I think the problem is it feels and sounds a lot when you talk about 15%.
It does.
That's a problem. It's, you know, I'm talking as a geographer here. When we look at statistics, 15 percentages of £1 million is a percentage of a pound is a substantial change. And I think 15%, while it sounds a lot, when you go to £6 a year, you break that down, it's what, 40 something pence a month. It's still in fact going to impact on those people who are right on the borderline of financially speaking. But at the end of the day, we have a responsibility to.
It's 12.7 pence a week.
Yeah.
But it's the perception, because I know.
I know,
people said
and
to me,
it's all done in percentage. It's
yeah,
all-
residents have said to me, oh yeah, you want to put the precept up, well, what are we getting for it?
We get
So-
to parish council that states
Well,
on.
what they're getting for it is the stuff that we spend money on.
That's why it's more important that we really are squeaky clean and transparent in where we're spending our money.
we are speaking to
Yeah.
him.
You are.
I think that spends.
Let's looking at my council tax bill for last year, it actually went down 3.5%.
You can pay more then.
This is on the,
Clean tax bill.
no, the precept. The precept went down 3.5% last year, according to my bill. It wasn't rebanded.
It is a tragedy.
Tastes like that this year.
That's right.
Have you tried to be good at that? You're trying. No.
So there's less households, there's less numbers as well this year. What's it dropped to? Dropped to 393.
In household.
Yeah. You've lost something.
Stood up and walked up down.
So
I want to move the border. Ashton by Budworth again.
They move their size as appears a bit.
All right, so yes, we should vote on the fact increase by 15%. So those in favour of 15%. Okay.
And that's got to be, so that, just to tell you, that is fine, because that's the figure that I have to give to Cheshire East by the 12th of December, so.
Can we just make it clear somewhere what 15% actually means in real terms?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, maybe, I mean, I can put it on the website. I don't
Yeah,
know if you
yeah,
want
so
to put it
see
on the
that.
Facebook pages,
I can do that.
the actual amount.
yes,
If you put it on the website. And
Then
then
we just have to report on the minutes.
Amanda, could you do,
Yeah.
could you
Yeah.
also do a band DEF? What everyone,
I probably can, to be
yeah,
honest.
just so that everyone can see very clearly,
Yeah.
not only band D.
Okay.
That's the norm, isn't it? That do.
and then we can put that through.
Yeah, but if you, if you.
I'll have it down to do this, like,
Excellent.
otherwise, if I don't do it, I'll be able to do it.
Okay. Planning methods.
You excluded yourself out of this one. You excluded yourself out of it.
I'm going with the expert. Nobody wants to hear me talk on
I didn't.
it.
Have we all read it?
There's very little on the council website for, the first one's gold stone, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's very little on the council website, there's just the application form and the plans. And literally the plans as in the area of ground. There's no detailed plan of what they want to build, it's just very much outlined, isn't it?
That one, what?
Well, they've not said they said that a house to go to market, they haven't said how many bedrooms,
And that's
they've
the
said of a similar size to the house that is already there.
which is a bungalow.
Yeah.
Is it in the dip? Yes, yes, it's in the garden.
There was a different garden.
I don't see mine.
I mean, the dip is at the same height as the field behind.
I think it is, yeah.
There's a change in height in the line, isn't there? So it's not like the field tower is going to have it right now. I'm sure there's some clever engineering that you
They
can
do, it's just like Goldstone's there. The church is there, the road is there, and then there's,
Dip in the middle.
yeah, the dip in the middle that goes out to the field, so. But it'd be good to know how many bedrooms, because it doesn't say how many bedrooms, because that would influence how much parking space you need, that would. You know, the similar footprint, is it 1 story, 2 story, 3 stories? It's,
presume what they're applying for. They're not yet at the stage, obviously, of putting in detailed plans.
no,
They're just testing the waters to see what they can get, or surely they'd have to put some specifics in, won't they, first?
It'll just be outlined to see if they can actually get planning permission. They won't have to let it. Yeah, they would then have to put in for details.
And it's with the group house then,
Yeah.
next to the church.
Yeah.
Country's short housing. I can't personally think of a reason
not to,
not to.
no.
And then when we get more details, I think, your point's valid. Because
Absolutely not.
It's no different than what's happened down on Frog Lane, is it?
No.
Really,
Should do it for
where pieces of land
Yeah.
that just turned into.
that's influence, but it's
But I think if you get the outline plan in the next stage, obviously is detailed planning, that's when this sort of thing will come in. But again, it would provide some income to the parish council, sort of.
That should give you something fair.
So no objection? Yeah, okay.
And then we had a letter from in relation to the discussion in the meeting last week about, I think, barn conversion also has been the same. I assume that everyone's read that and has noted the contents. I mean, obviously, we as a parish council are informed, but we don't make any decisions. So,
Well, you have already objected to that. You objected at the last meeting and have put the objection in. So if it's just a case of noting it.
But this has not gone on Cheshire East. I'm informed the website, has it? It's a letter. It's only to the
No,
parish
it's just
council.
the parish council.
Maybe they need to send us to Cheshire East and. No, or
That, I
the applicant needs to
I
send
do
it.
amend it to you to see if you wanted to reconsider the decision you made last month. No, we just made the contents of that. Okay.
okay. So we're going ahead with that.
I think it would be, if it's okay, to have a small discussion about the community and assets committee. So that was set up in July by this council as a committee. So therefore, it was suggested that it meets 3 times a year. And the structure of it as a committee means it can be delegated powers and financial spending, but you have to allow public in, you have to do an agenda, it has to be up 3 clear days before, you have to do minutes, and they have to be published. The previous council also had a working group and a steering group. Personally, don't think you need an assets committee, working group and steering group. That seems a little bit overkill for a council your size. And this council decided to have the committee. Now, having a committee doesn't mean that you can't go and do, or look at the, you know, as individual councillors, look at the areas that you're interested in and do some work on those. Obviously, it would either have to go back to committee or come back to the full council.
I think the reason, well, when it was set up as a committee, we were all quite new. And I think we were led a little bit of a bum steer. And I think in looking back in hindsight now, it's a wonderful science. But I do think a working group is better than having a top heavy committee. I think committees are far too top heavy and weighty.
And the way
But how will you put
people put together in this community in that sense.
Just by lack of knowledge.
So it was the person with the knowledge that gave you the wrong
It
information.
was Jackie Weaver. And I think we were led down one route, if you like, which looking back and thinking about it and having worked for a few months, I think it was a wrong decision.
It's a decision we made, so we can't change it.
We can. We can change.
We change it after 6 months.
Yes, 6 months.
Which would be,
But has the working group met?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're-
No,
yes, the committee hasn't met.
you couldn't come to the meeting, you were invited if you want.
There hasn't
and
been a committee meeting.
There hasn't been a committee
There hasn't
meeting,
been a
no.
committee meeting.
there isn't a working.
I misunderstood and believed that we were a working group because there'd been so many discussions right at the start when we first started as a council. And that was when we went away and did the assets. And going along on that, each month we kept issuing the asset spreadsheet, the asset and maintenance spreadsheet to everyone and asking for comments. And then incorrectly then we did call a meeting. But Lorraine and Jane couldn't come. And that just left Simon Peter himself. And I asked them if they've got any input to the spreadsheet that we could then get all the items, all the assets that need maintenance listed.
I don't think there's any problems with you working on a spreadsheet of assets and what needs doing. But that doesn't have to be part of a committee meeting. You do it.
No,
Peter's doing that every week when he goes and does the
Yeah.
playground.
I don't think it should be a committee, and I would like to propose that after the 6 months, if it's now, we can change that from a committee.
Okay, but I would argue you haven't actually tried to be a committee. So how do you know it's not going to work?
Well,
There's
because
so many committees that haven't met. Where
yeah,
the
we haven't
finance
had one
committee
yet.
hasn't met, and we've agreed a precept, no, haven't we?
I know,
Doesn't-
doesn't the finance committee suggesting that you come and work?
Doesn't a working group have a bit more flexibility than a committee in terms of its ability to meet and its ability to discuss things and ability to progress things?
Yeah.
And then with its ability to feed back to the council, while the council still has to agree to any of the major things that it's going to do. The working group gives you just that little bit more flexibility without having to
I
give the notice,
yeah,
produce the minutes. We can still produce minutes anyway, just
we
don't.
have 3 meetings a year.
I think there's a flexibility in a working group that there isn't in a committee.
Yeah.
I think
But just
We spent a lot of time backwards and forwards discussing this for the HS2 group, working group committee, what we were going to do. I came to the opinion there that the working group structure for most things probably works very well, actually, because because all financial decisions have to be made by the council. You can get a group that can work,
Unless it's delegated to a committee.
but a working group can't be delegated.
No.
No.
So anything the working group comes up with has to come back to council, so everyone on the council then gets to make those decisions.
Yes.
Whereas in a committee, although it's a public forum, you've got a smaller number of the councillors who are going to make those decisions.
Yeah.
It's a bit more, the working group's maybe a bit sort of lighter on its feet in terms of being able to discuss things, but it's then got to wait for a council meeting to actually get agreement, so that there's pros and cons on both sides.
Yes, but then you've got to wait 3 months if it's a committee. Whereas if you've got your working group, they can come back to council the following month.
Presumably,
Because the
it's got
time-
more than 3 meetings.
They do, yeah. You just, you
But there-
put down.
No, it says that.
It was- Yes.
The notification of the agendas and everything.
Yeah.
But you've then also got the fact that you've got, the clerk's got to attend another meeting.
And residents are
It's a
asking,
cost.
what are you actually,
What if she doesn't?
Yeah.
Somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
we want to,
What,
do we want to get to the end of our term of office
residents,
and done nothing?
what's
But
our,
we've had lots of meetings.
I would think that's an argument if you'd actually gone through the process. But you haven't attempted to be a committee. If you're not coming back and saying, no, I don't want to be a committee. I haven't spent all that time discussing it. And that's the bit, and I expect it's more transparent. It's more flexible, but it's less transparent.
But isn't it, we're still expected to, if a working group is still expected to report back in terms of what it's doing, with minutes, it's the same. It's the expectation is still there. It's just there's a bit more flexibility for them to get on with things.
And speeding up the process.
Well, what the process we're trying to speed up,
Getting things done.
and we haven't done anything. So,
That's the perception of
A lot
the
of residents, yes.
but we have the action log, which tells them they're not
Did the
right.
residents see that?
They can see if they want to.
Where?
Transparent.
Where? Yeah, where?
Well, we all get copies. don't
No,
we?
where residents see as to what's been done.
Well, it's not a confidential document as far as I'm concerned.
It's just to try and speed the process up of actually getting jobs done around
give
the
us an
village.
example.
What job haven't we done that we could have done?
Sorting out the railings.
What railings? The railings that have already been passed for us to paint.
No, the ones here on Park Lane.
They've never even come.
Normally what happens is it takes, you can do something and you can action something within a month and bring it back to council. If you were only having the 3 committee meetings a year, then you've got so many months to wait before that committee can make a decision.
No, because you can fetch that to council at any time.
I just don't see the point then. What you're saying there is then there's no point in even having a committee.
But you can fetch that to council at any
So
meeting.
we can do that. Why bother
Yeah.
about having a committee or a working group?
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying is if there's no committee meeting coming up, just bring it to council. But that's what a working group would do anyway.
Yeah.
Then produce a report and just bring it to council.
Mm.
But
So if you're
that's
doing that, why bother having a committee?
not from a working group, that's from an individual.
That's for an individual.
If you bring something to council,
Anybody
you're
can fetch
bringing
it to council.
Yeah, well,
as an individual rather than a working group of say 4, 5 people or in your working group.
sharing.
Depending what you're doing, you could invite some residents into.
Maybe it would
Yeah.
be a good idea for you to decide what the community and as their group, regardless of whether it's committee or a working group, is there to do. What's the purpose of it? What would you be doing in the group? Because there are no terms of reference yet.
That's simple then. I mean, for me, the logic is, I think it'd be useful if we're going to make a decision. I mean, it's around about 6 months now, isn't it? It's either this one or January that we can claim to 6 months when we can make a decision to change. Is it worth starting to put this one on, coming back with a report which justifies the change, why it's done, so we can all have a look at it and then make that decision properly.
I mean, I don't
Because at the
see.
moment, we're sort of throwing things about rather
Yes,
than.
we are.
just
And
simply-
I fetched the other railings up, so why haven't those railings been fetched up? I just don't understand why you couldn't fetch them up if you were bothered about them railings. Why would we just wait?
It's not bothered if somebody, if a resident.
Yes, I know, well, a resident's told me about them, but equally, it'll be the same resident then, but equally, they could have been, I was proposing at the same time, it actually even came up on the chat when I actually asked anybody if they would help to paint the other railings, that they said, would these be done at the Red Lion as well?
And I think the comment was made that I'd already found out 2-3 years ago.
So they've been on to Cheshire.
The Cheshire East and we can't touch them.
Well,
That's why the ones along the top haven't been
Yeah.
replaced because
I
of
actually
trees.
disagree that they're saying that you can't touch them because, just because they belong to Cheshire East.
Well, we're getting off the subject now, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, you expect it to council at any meeting that.
Yeah,
What's this group going to do then?
as
What's the community and asset? What did you as a council think this group of people was going to do?
ensure that the assets that are the parish council's responsibility, that there is a running maintenance plan going forward of how we're going to manage them, spend the money to ensure that maintenance work is carried out and done in a timely fashion and in the best possible areas.
When we visited, it wasn't my events tied in with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I really don't, I'm happy to just stick with what I've got. I'm finding myself running around in circles to start having to go to other meetings, or I would find it just too much.
Yeah, I think to be honest with, when we set it all up and we were starting out, that it did get looped together. I mean, I've got various pages and we had 4 or 5 different ideas on what we were going to do as groups and what they were going to be responsible for. And that, I think, Lorraine, just sort of got mixed in with it, didn't it?
Okay.
And yeah,
I quite get your point. Yes, it doesn't really.
and you know, like,
It's side by side, is it?
to hearing the curtain and then getting involved in other stuff.
But that's
By looking at it, yes, I know, but I'm
then you've got to be on
looking
the
at
assets
it.
committee.
No, I don't. I don't have to be on the assets committee if it, I don't think. If it, I'm looking at bringing the business in, aren't I? Does I have to be on the assets committee?
You don't have to be on any committee that you don't want to be on, but I do see the place between community and assets, because you have 2 assets, you have 2 big assets.
Oh,
Are the village hall and pavilion, and 3 if you include play area, which is all sort of community links.
Assets.
But not that you would have to be involved on the asset side.
Well, that's what I mean.
But
I
you-
don't want to,
you
you know,
would-
that side.
No, but you would still need to be input.
To give your input
Yeah,
to make
it's
sure that you were getting the best out.
Can we,
Is there any reason why you can't leave the committee structure as it is and have 3 formal meetings a year,
No, we can do that.
but do your individual work? I know it's not work, as you're doing at the moment, and then you need a plan, don't you? I would expect, as a resident, the community and asset group has a plan, has an annual plan of what it expects to do. And if individual councillors go away and work on that, and then meet in the committee 3 times a year to make sure that plan's going forward, and that the things that they want to happen are happening.
Well, I definitely know what I want to deal with within the community and the assets.
But then it
You
should
must
all be part of the team, shouldn't it?
Yes, it does, but what I'm saying, yes, but I've not had a meeting with anybody yet, but I know what I want to get on with.
Well, who was somebody appointed chair or?
You don't have
Yeah,
to go.
right. What's in charge of that group?
Oh,
well, we did
I
have some
can't-
champions things, but not sure they were chairperson. I mean, I think,
Would sort of lead councillor.
I don't think we're going
Yeah.
to resolve this stuff. I think, first of all, I'm not 100% sure that we can vote to change something because I'm not sure the date. I'm not sure that we've given the current committee group a fair go. And I'm confused now as to what it thinks it's doing. So I think we do need to meet, decide what it is this group's going to do. And then if you as a group come back to council and go, we really want to be a working group, it's not working as a committee, then I think we can vote on it then.
So could we propose that you have a first meeting?
in March.
Yeah.
That's when your first meeting's supposed to
Okay.
be.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have it earlier if you want to.
Long way off.
It is a long way.
Yeah.
Well, you've not had November's meeting, have you? So maybe,
I just wonder if a meeting to get together, as you say, work on some terms of reference.
Could we do it in January?
I don't think there's a council.
I'm away in January, so
When
All January.
no, but you just pick the date that I'm person.
so
When do you know, Jane?
I've done some draft terms of reference from what I understood from my reading of the minutes and from my understanding of what a community and assets committee would be. I've done some draft terms of reference. So why don't we start with those?
Yeah.
So if I distribute them, and everyone has a look, and then at least if we get the terms of reference correct, then you all know what the group's doing and what you're doing. It doesn't stop you doing the work you're doing at the moment. It definitely doesn't stop you doing the work you're doing at the moment. Just want to say that to everybody, because you're all doing lots, so please don't stop. But maybe this will then formalise exactly what it is, and everybody will understand what you're working towards. Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Who is now on this group with you?
You do.
Simon.
No.
Because Simon wasn't here when we were all going through the groups. He
I don't
wasn't at the
know.
meeting.
I wasn't, I was away on that.
I wasn't there, sorry, but committee members are
I think Simon made it up to the HS2.
yeah.
Well, I asked to be on the playground and the assets, but
Currently not, but
no.
I think it's by, if it's a committee, then Simon.
Yeah, if it's a committee, then Sandra wants to go from it, then he probably wouldn't say no, are you?
Okay.
Okay, let's start with that.
Okay. To receive an update on the Pickmere Christmas market function.
Well, actually, it went very, very well. It was a lovely day. I think most people really enjoyed it. Hard work, really hard work. But over £1,000 raised for charity in total, so that can only be good.
Is Naomi going to say something about it, or?
Oh, she doesn't have to, does she? No, I'm just saying it for them. So, good. In total, there was about 262 prices at Christmas, about 220 to stroke, 300 to Crohn's, 200 and something to Alzheimer's. So,
Absolutely lovely afternoon.
it was one.
I'm sure that all the most appreciative.
Music for the
Excellent, thank you.
Oh,
It was a lovely, everybody I spoke to, and I only saw 2 negative comments on Facebook. But everybody I spoke to had said what a fabulous day.
Is it worth just talking about parking? I saw people complaining about parking.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I.
We clearly want to continue to allow people, groups, Lorraine maybe, to be running future events using that bit of land and the pavilion. Do we need to think a little bit about having some sort of, if we're in a situation prior to actually getting Cheshire East to resolve parking issues, do we need to think about having some sort of parking wardens just asking people to only park on one side of
Yeah,
the drive?
I can see that. I can see that. We did. Now I could be wrong here. So, because we did keep going down the road to check that the ambulance could get through if it came. As to how, now there were a couple of times where it got a bit bottlenecked as somebody's going down and somebody's coming up. But I never saw anybody getting cross. Now, you might have seen that, I didn't.
Yeah, well, somebody did get cross with your drawing.
So we did, yes.
Did then?
Yes. Yeah, but the difference was that you were there going back and to there. If something had happened, you were there to see.
Yeah,
We were up, which doesn't happen.
and we were talking to people as well, saying, I'm sorry, I'm moving, everybody was just lovely.
I think it's just, it's most of those things you gravitate to visiting as well, to support the event.
The problem is with something like this, you're always going to get someone who complains about something. And I think the thing is, it was a good event. And with any event, you always learn what you go, you learn and you move on to the next one. And that's what we've done. And realistically, from what I've heard, I mean, sadly I was coming back from Glasgow, but from what I've heard, that realistically people accepted the fact there was going to be parking there because actually most of the people visiting it were local anyway.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as though we'd got loads of outsiders coming in to park there. And I think it's just one of those things. You
Or
you learn and move on. And essentially, I don't think it was a problem for what the event was.
I think we managed the parking
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
We cut off the bit at the bottom and literally parked the stall holders.
I think you've got a couple of complaints. We've acknowledged those complaints. You've acknowledged that, and we've all said that next year we move on and we think about that, get parking wardens, whatever, to deal with that. It's the learning curve with this type of event. And that's all it is, because there's nothing, you know, I think we've acknowledged it. Let's take the good out of this and take the learning process on.
There was a lot of good in it. There was a lot of good.
And that's it.
Are there a lot of other plans afoot to repeat next year?
don't know.
It's still recovering.
It was Naomi's group, company or whatever it is.
Yeah,
We're-
it was
we're
named
brilliant.
events, yeah.
Did she say she's not commented?
She hasn't, well, she's like sort of dead on her feet.
Mm.
And one of her comments was, if we do it next year, and I can't remember what she was saying afterwards.
Mm.
Because I just looked at her and said, what? So, yeah.
All I was wondering was we in the last meeting, I wasn't here, but we set a price for people to be able to hire those bits of land. I wonder whether we should, when people want to hire those bits of land, we say, yes, absolutely, but you must make sure that people only park on one side of Clove Drive or
You
something like
haven't
that.
specified the pieces of land.
Okay.
However, I think what you should do is ask your clerk to write you, seriously, in the learning curve for me as well, a set of procedures that people who use the parish council land need to follow, and it needs to be agreed in terms of dates for, there has to be an event safety plan, there just has to be. And I'm just thinking, I've already started on this, when there should be a fire risk assessment, and parking is something I haven't picked up on, so I think,
Parking is.
yeah, people should explain, if they're having events on your land and they're going to use it, there should be.
The other thing that I actually thought about, this is just my personal opinion, when I actually saw the picture that somebody put on Facebook, that we've got Father Christmas on the side, cars parked on either side, and people are walking across to go to Father Christmas, and I looked at it and I thought, I think that is in the wrong place. That's just my opinion.
Well,
That's the learning curves.
but the drop curve area was kept clear.
Yeah, well, I did still see children. I'm not saying to the parents crossing that road that was actually the main thoroughfare of traffic, and that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, so if you have an event on Cheshire East land, you have to have your event safety plan in. 2 weeks, is it? No, it's a lot longer than that. It might be a good couple of months before. And I think you should have the same here, because then you get to pick up on things like that and say, get to read through it and say, you need to have it.
In the past, we have actually said that if you're running an event, you have to have safety.
You did, no, we did put one in, there is.
Yeah.
The one that they-
Yeah.
event.
And I think that because she's never done it on that piece of land before, it's never been done on that piece of land, so it's a first event, so you can start quite easily find where things.
Oh, and you could just put a crossing person on. You could keep it where, because it was in a brilliant place.
The part of the one.
You just have you just borrow a crossing
The
lane.
crossing person could also be asking people to only park on one side,
Yeah.
you know, or whatever, whatever is decided, but I just think if there's a guidance to
Yes.
prevent some of the issues.
Or we get the cones out.
Yeah,
So we're going to ask the clerk to continue with this
yeah, do it again.
document.
Yeah.
Yes, please, yeah.
Anybody you think it.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, next item is to buy a under-counter fridge for the village hall.
Yeah, well, Peter pointed out, I haven't double checked it, but quite rightly, because we looked at having it in this, we can't have it on the back wall because of the water meter. Then we looked at these cupboards at the side, but what Peter actually came up with makes very good sense, is to take out that gas cooker because we can't use it. and put it in that space, because that is a space that will take 600 fridge.
Do you need a cooker in the kitchen?
Well, we can't use the gas cooker, can
We
we?
can't use that one. We do need one, but yeah, we can't use that one.
So we take it out and don't know where to put it.
What do you do instead of a cooker if you take it out? Who uses the cooker?
No, not at the moment, because we've not had those sorts of functions here.
Do you feel that you would need something to heat up food?
In time, I do think next year we'll probably will. But I won't before any of that fridge, because people come in and they want to put their things in the fridge, you know, in the parties.
The thing is, it might be worth looking into non-council, one of those in warming ovens rather than the cooker.
Is there a microwave in there?
Yeah, I mean, I have just noticed that the people who are using, it for the puppet, they're melts on the top. You know, and you just think, it shouldn't really be that.
Just look at this one.
Yeah.
So okay, so to remove the
Well, I mean, you know, I don't know if we need to really just check out for
do you
the.
think it would fit there, Peter? That we
I haven't measured it, but it looks in about a 600 space, doesn't it?
Well,
They're normally standard sizes as well.
what,
Well, you can either get 5 or 600,
Yeah.
so.
Is the pipe work behind it?
we just need the gas.
Oh, it's gas, yes, there will be. We need
It's
gas.
only it's plugged in, one.
Yeah, it should be.
It's just
Block
It
it.
should be.
like to think. But it's been there that long, it might.
Yeah.
It might be piped in, might.
Well, it could be piped in somewhere, but
So
we just need
The alternative is to try and get one of these cupboards like that.
they're all doubles, apart from the end one, which is a single. All of the cupboards are doubles.
I just wanted to say though, could we just, in view of what's happening, or hopefully going to happen coming up in the next 12 months, or certainly in January, with the group, on looking at the refurbishment of the village hall and getting grants and things like that, is there such a desperate urgency that we have to have a fridge now? I mean, how many parties have we got booked?
Well, no, we haven't, but I've been asked by a lot of people. So I've been asked by the pizza group for a fridge, and then you've got people coming in that bring the tea and coffee. They want somewhere to put them out.
Then you need a fridge.
For me,
You
for me, it's a standard requirement.
Look, what I'm saying is, why rush out now within the next 2-3 months and buy a fridge and put a fridge in there? If it comes to it, that we're perhaps going to move the kitchen out of there and put the kitchen here.
Yeah, but if you've only got an under-counter fridge,
Big going.
it'll go anywhere. You just build around it, won't you?
I just think that was just my concern, that we were rushing into
We
something
could be.
that we didn't
we're not
actually
going to have
less
it
desperately need.
moved in the somebody's on the sour.
I think it's really hard to tell whether you need the fridge, because there are people that haven't hired the whole because of the fridge.
Mm.
So, I mean, for me, it's basically, I'm surprised there isn't a fridge,
Yeah.
but I am concerned they're going to take out the cook. Yeah.
There isn't.
You could of course get a smaller size fridge and put down the counter.
You can have a countertop one.
Because I mean,
I think most village halls, when my experience of, and I've hired a couple, 2 or 3 of them really, that they've all had if you've been doing a children's party, that they've all had an oven where you can warm something up.
Mm.
They've had a fridge where you can put something as well, so.
What's something at the moment?
What's in the Turton Pavilion kitchen?
A fridge
A fridge?
and a freezer.
Is it for your kitchen?
Yes,
Yeah.
but we will be using that to.
Are you thinking fetching that one up here?
Well, I was thinking either bring that one up here or buying a countertop one for here, which if we then were going to refurbish or move the kitchen, could then go to the Turton Pavilion.
Yeah.
But if the Turton Pavilion's already got one that's not as useful, but at least it wouldn't be a total
I mean,
waste.
how much are you talking? A couple of £100 for a fridge?
A fridge, you can get a fridge for £100.
Well, I mean, it's not worth arguing about, is it?
Just where it's going to be put.
Where the cupboards are falling down.
What's wrong with one on the end?
Well, it needs to be, if you take,
Oh, the tall one in the corner.
Yeah.
There's one straight through.
but the others are integral for the work surface. If you take the cupboard out underneath, that's going to keep the work surface. So
Outside.
Stick the fridge then.
Yeah, that's true. You
Yeah.
could, you could.
Something outside.
Why not?
Yeah.
Just a normal fridge, stick it in the corner
Socket there.
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
There we go.
Resolved.
Before we have a new fitted kitchen.
It's just the end panel of that cupboard. It's right at the end of the worktop.
there. You actually stick the fridge there, it's got a socket.
And it will warm up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay, so
the new fridge,
agreed, yeah.
if we can't get it in the end, we'll put it outside.
I'll know. Fourth one.
If not,
Since we're,
get a barbecue cover, stick it outside, literally outside.
That'll be fine. That'll be fine, Dan.
Actually, just have an open thing and just stick it out with the weather as it is for 3 months, we'll be fine.
So, well, yeah, Lorraine still has part of the delegated budget left. I would suggest it fits within the community. But that's not for me to say. It's your delegated budget.
how much delegated budget do you have left?
200.
Okay, that's not for a fridge.
Well, yeah, I mean.
Any objections to using the delegated funds?
No, but I mean, does it have to come out of delegated funds? I mean, it's something, it's also an asset, isn't it? I mean, we could share it between funds.
It won't affect our calculations if it comes out something.
No, I'm just saying,
I
don't care where it comes out, but I just think we need one.
We do need, yeah.
I'd say, take it out on solely delegated. That's. Agreed terms, the revised neighbourhood plan working group.
Look in terms of reference. Everybody needs for their groups. Each goes long. If everyone's happy with them, we agree then. I'd just like to point out that your terms of reference do include advertising the meetings in advance on the website. So if you are having a meeting, you'll have to tell me, you will have to go on the website and report me back as well. That's what's included in terms of reference. Which, by the way,
Transparency else against friends.
Well, we did try to get as many meetings in as we possibly can do in a really short space of time with people's availability.
Just have to tell me in advance and I can put it on the website. It says in the terms of reference, it will be advertised on the page, and it means more information starts going on the page. But it also means that after the meeting, there needs to be something to go on.
Yeah.
Say what happened at the meeting.
So have that been written?
Yes, I have.
So can we have retrospective?
Well, there aren't any minutes because we agreed that we weren't doing that, but we do have an action log. And I was going to ask if I can hopefully get a meeting this next week of the neighbourhood plan steering group to talk to them and see if we can get a report back to council for February on where we are up to now.
So will you tell me the date of that
Yeah.
meeting? And
Yeah.
I mean, some of it will publish the action log in those minutes.
Yes, probably. Well, that's what I want to speak to the steering group about.
as long as you do some sort of feedback.
Yeah.
So if everyone's happy to agree the terms of reference for that group.
Okay.
Yeah.
The benches. For my bench.
For the bench, it was up a bench, because the one bench, of course, was, oh, I've got a technical glitch, you can't get to the document.
Do you want what it is?
A lot of research went into this. A lot of companies can provide benches. They don't clear the sites. They won't install the benches. So having gone to about 4 or 5 companies and got prices for wooden, steel and plastic, we were then left with how much is it going to cost to clear the sites. And we got a quote for that, which is 200 and something from a builder to destroy the bench that is there, dispose of it and clear the site. then we could then have the choice, do we actually replace it or do we not? And we've been through all this before. So I got onto Cheshire East and asked Cheshire East for their help and advice. And they gave me a couple of contacts. And the one contact that they did give me, because they were also said that if we had anybody that was going to install a bench there, they have to have a licence and you have to apply to Cheshire East for the licence and it would cost £800. So before I even looked at the cheapest plastic seat, it was going to cost £800. But this company that I spoke to, he has said that he will come out, remove the seat that is there. He works regularly with Cheshire East. He said, there's no problem with you getting the licence. I can get that quite easily sorted out and seen to. He said, and that all comes into the costing. The seat, I think, is about 500 and something, 569. To reinstall the tarmac, 110. And he has a site attendance fee of £89. The removal is free of charge. So that's
the total.
That to me seemed the very best that he could possibly ever achieve and go for. We've also had a
£768.
Yeah. We've also had a donation of £500, which would mean the total cost to the council would be £268.25. And we would have a steel bench instead of that concrete one. Underneath the shelter.
This is on the shelter side.
Yeah, yes, it's on the shelter side. The other one has been repaired, is
Being repaired.
being repaired.
Did that massive.
So I'd like to propose that we go with that company.
Can I ask who's giving the donation?
Community.
Community group,
Yeah, absolutely.
basically once it's all been proposed and,
Thank. Something.
the council favours the bench, then the community group will make a donation of £500.
So the council will have to lay out 768.25 of a
Yeah,
donation.
And then donation.
and then the donation comes in, yeah. So basically just once all that's sorted and the bench is in place, then just contact this house and he'll organise them as the treasurer. Yes.
Thank you, agree to that. Expenditure.
Long last. A little old lady can have somewhere to sit.
That's a bit more
You got your
robust.
figures tonight? You got your figures tonight?
Oh, God. Oh.
Already. So, to discuss and respond to Cheshire East strategic letter review. So, you would like a start item?
Well, sorry, that only came in just before the agenda went out. But from what I can see, we're looking at closing leisure facilities. Luxford is in the firing line, which I guess is where most of your residents use, isn't it?
There's been a petition going round at the moment to try and fight it. So a lot of the groups that attend there have been sending it out to all and sundry.
Yeah.
I've actually got I've been sent it because I play badminton there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible thing, isn't it, if it's closed, really.
I mean,
I mean, I used to swim there, I used to do badminton there.
I think it'd be nice if we could actually promote the petition of the.
Well, we can put that on the website. You can go through that link as an individual.
They want
Yeah,
to go.
so it's
Council, so you can do
Well,
a
have you,
response to the parish council.
that the news thing from Cheshire East that tells you that all the things that is written around here, it's only the main health.
Yeah,
They've cut back on that.
This is just the leisure.
First,
Yes.
libraries opening time to.
Yeah, that'll be part of the leisure review.
The leisure services have
Yeah.
been reviewed. Parking price rises.
Yeah.
And
yes, well,
car park.
We've got a big deficit to build on.
And learning disability, respite care has been looked at as well. School travel policy, which is a big thing for Pickmere, because we don't have a school.
you're
So,
out of catchment wherever you go, so.
Yeah.
yeah. So the travel policy is being looked at, so,
You've
you
always,
know, if you're out and about in first thing in the morning, there's buses picking kids up, there's taxis here, there and everywhere. And all that is being looked at, and you think about it, it's a huge cost, isn't it, to Cheshire East?
got to be.
But they're looking at everything. And I attended the Green Spaces online meeting about Green Spaces maintenance. And it's a review, but they've already cut £600,000 from AMSA's budget. So this is where I sent the plan some information about, but I don't think AMSA do any areas in Pickmere, because Pickmere has been gifted all the green spaces, the IROS, the playground. AMSA normally look after playgrounds. Well, it belongs to us, so all those costs are already on Pickmere Parish Council or the residents of Pickmere. So that's another loading on, we've been paying it for years. And we've also been paying Cheshire East.
So in terms of this strategic leisure review, would you like a specific person to send me? I take it you're all going to respond, are you, as individuals?
Yes.
Councillors.
Well, all these reviews,
They're all,
have you seen it, Nick?
Yeah,
sent you that link. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I get the emails from Cheshire East. There are about 4 different surveys going on
at the
at the
moment.
moment.
Yeah,
I think the parking one's finished now, hasn't
the
it?
parking's finished and the
green space
green spaces one is.
extended.
But
Till January.
again, this is what Councillor Haig was saying about the need to make sure your preset
It's covered.
is covering it, because next year you will have to fund it. If you want more grass cutting.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, the green spaces is for parks, cemeteries, football pitches, things like that. But they've reassessed everywhere. So somewhere like Knutsford, they're going to cut back on all these mowing things that are going on. Somewhere, like your football pitch will only be mowed twice a year, something like that. How's that going to work? And they're unfortunate, they've got a cemetery as well. I mean, we're fortunate we haven't got some of these things. And then you've got other groups coming around. Highways are separate. So green spaces along highways is a different group. And we've got Peaks and Plains housing in the village. So the green outside, the Wellfield, where the Christmas tree is, that belongs to Peaks and Plains. So a different group come and mow the grass there.
The trouble is, it's historical, isn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, so I mean, at one time they had the 3 top execs on the gardeners for about 3 years.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's good, yeah.
And they were being paid at,
The doubling up on paying other people as well, weren't they?
So obviously we're going to respond as individuals,
But there's a lot more surveys than purely the leisure one
but okay.
that are ongoing that we
Which
should.
should be responding to.
Right.
Yeah.
So with the 2 people here that have Facebook pages, so are we able to use those to alert people to the
we can get no press on that.
Yeah.
And we can get it up to the council as well, so we've got.
The more we get out, the better.
But would you like to also do a response from the parish council?
Yes.
Yes.
Somebody is going to have to give me the responses.
Yeah.
Are you able to
Or you're going to have to let
take your
Peter-
notes and make it into a
We just write.
I've only noted down what they are. The other one is adult social care, which is a big thing as well.
It's a funny thing, Knutsford Sports Centre though, because not much happens upstairs, does it? You know, it's a huge building that a lot of it's not used. All the downstairs area used.
The upstairs used to be children's clubs for the holidays. It used to have this big open space where they used to have things like something and stuff like that taking place. And they've just cut back and cut back.
Yeah.
It did. Was this the one that, yeah.
High school, yeah.
okay.
It's a shame anyway. You know, it is the best as much as anything else, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
They do heart rehabilitation when we do.
they do all sorts of stuff.
Well, you can either ask Peter to respond on behalf, delegate that for him to respond on behalf of the parish council in addition to you responding as councillors, or you can ask Peter to send me the information.
Yeah, and you can send
And
it.
I can send it as a parish councillor. I'm
I think
thinking,
we should all respond as we should be
parish councillor.
encouraging residents to respond to this as well, because more people.
If we could have, so, if Peter sends stuff to you, because I think from the council it needs to come through you as the official.
Yeah.
And then Peter, if you give Alison, me, Jane, something that we can put on so that it's identical on all sides.
Yeah.
That we can put up, and then that way we can just, we've got that sort of communal effort going into it.
Yeah, and then he sent that to me up to the website as well, so they've got all. Is that okay? So put it on the website, and then Peter, you will send me so that I can do the response from parish council.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just have to pick up the tone for a bit because we learn. So we discussed last month, about potentially charging for Greenland or different events. Dr. Kristen was with us tonight. But still think it's probably a good idea to have a mechanism for charging. A, so that we exert our rights over the land that we own. And B, because I think there will be people wanting to do that, unless the community or other groups on that land. And without a mechanism of working out how we make money off it, simplest way is just to charge people to use it.
So I'm not a Pickmere, as you have been in 5.5 years, you know, so yeah, give me another 30 years. Maybe. So I understand that there's this thing on the IROT that you're not supposed to have anybody anything. But does that stand for the top of Clover Drive? Clover Drive has not got any.
No, it's not part of that.
Thing, is it?
They're separate.
Yeah, so
I mean, as far, I don't know enough about the IROS to argue yes or no, but I wouldn't have a problem with it, but I don't know enough about it. I certainly agree with charging for Clover Drive. Definitely at the top of there. And I suppose in a way I sort of do with the IROS, but everybody seems to, you know you're not. It's
Talking about this in exclusion to the residents, then if somebody hires it, they can stop residents going on there.
no, you can't.
You can't.
Exactly.
You can't stop people going on. No.
No.
You still hold an event on that. The example would be when the community group hold their party by the lake.
Can't stop anyone going.
They can't stop anyone going on there.
No.
When we had the fun day this year, we can't stop people coming on. But we still held an event there.
Mm.
So, but there are two things in my mind. One is, if you don't have a mechanism for charging people, then how do you stop anyone having an event whenever they want?
Yeah.
And for me, there's a difference between somebody organising an event that makes money, somebody going down for a picnic with their family.
Yeah.
Those are two different things.
As in the family.
Yeah. It's not there for commercial reasons.
Yeah.
But we do know people run businesses off our lake.
So we're talking about commercial
Yeah, commercial enterprise,
hires.
things that were done for profit.
Yeah.
Whether it's done to raise money for charity or whether it's done to.
Right.
I also think that with that the event needs to be considered as well, because the problem we have is if we're saying that the area is for rent and someone can come in and say, right, we'd like to use that. I think we need to have some mechanism for deciding what we do and don't allow to take place in the RLC.
Yeah. Just because we say we're renting it doesn't mean that everyone that comes on.
No, I know. What I mean, I think we need to be a lot more specific with that than we are, say, for here. I think there's been
Well, it would have to come back to council, wouldn't it? They'd have to ask him plenty of time.
Yeah,
for it to
that's
come to
exactly it,
council
yeah.
to be a discussion, because you're once again talking about parking and all the rest of
Yeah.
it that goes
Yeah.
with it.
Sure.
Well,
It should
then,
be part of
because
the
one-
procedure that you've asked
Yeah.
you to draw up.
going back to what we were talking about before was when you said about having, if you're running an event, a safety plan.
Yeah, so it's all part of that.
So again, is somebody who's teaching people to paddleboard going to go through all of doing a safety plan and everything else that goes
Well,
along
they
with
should
it?
have as
Or
well.
insurance, or having insurance for what they
Yeah,
do.
well, one of the things is you should do, because I one of my things to run outdoor activities. And if I use an outdoor activity provider, then I need to know that all the people that are using are properly qualified, that they have proper licenses, like, it's not the only thing, let's move on. But proper licenses for their company, they need to have proper insurances in place, and they have to do risk assessments, they have to have proper first aid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
It's another income stream.
Yes.
Isn't it?
We're shocked at by submission to amendment. And you
But the other thing
can.
we need to be careful with is that this was proposed as long before lockdown, and there was quite a big fuss about the use of the IROS in the pavilion, particularly going into the night.
But again,
That this was for
But then-
we're not deciding on what
residents. No, this was the fuss was from residents who lived in the area. So I'm just bringing that up as a point, because that was one of the issues that was mentioned that came up last time this sort of thought process started going down the line.
But it does say access is during day hours, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So people shouldn't be going down there swinging at midnight.
No, it's used, it's the use of the pavilion as well. That's what I'm saying.
But that's up to you to make it if you're saying.
Yeah.
All I'm doing is just making you aware that was what was brought up last time. Thought process started going down this room. Sorry, Nick.
It's okay, just thinking in terms of, so if someone goes on the IROS and injures themselves in some way, does our, having not paid to access it, does
Does your
that?
public liability cover it?
Yes.
Should, you mean if someone was just walking on there,
Yes.
on the
But
right of way?
Or using the vehicle.
There is no-
There is no right of way on the IROS.
No.
There's no public.
So it
right of
says-
way.
it
There's a
does say
footpath that goes
private
down to the left. That's that public footpath which goes down to the left.
But that's the only public bit,
Yes.
the actual footpath.
Yes,
So if they're going onto the IROS, technically, they are going onto private land.
I'm just thinking about the different scenarios of somebody who goes onto the IROS, injures themselves, somebody who,
would this be burning themselves on their barbecue?
well,
Yes.
but you know,
Yeah.
or somebody who goes onto the IROS, pays somebody else to do some sort of event, whether that might be a relaxation event, paddleboarding or whatever, and injures themselves.
Does that insurance cover it?
Which is good to me.
Have they asked the parish council for?
Well, I'm thinking of two scenarios where they've paid and that person has paid us to use the land, or they've paid that person and that person hasn't got approval and paid us to use it.
Yes, but I'm guessing that as this is all new and it's not been done before, that I'm gonna have to speak to insurers anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
And find out.
just on that field, just to give you an example, there is lots of, you know, somebody fell down at the fun day, didn't they? And she nearly broke her ankle. She was taken away in an ambulance. So
On which piece of land?
on the
On the
IROS.
end. You know, when I had the thunder,
On the fund day?
Yes.
she's.
But you hadn't, she would be claiming under your
Yes.
insurance.
Oh no, but she didn't have it. But what I'm saying is that, you know, somebody could just go on, their ankle just go over, and then they could put a claim in. That's the actual reality if you start charging on that field.
They could do it if they're not charging.
Yeah.
But they
They pay.
here,
They
if
cover
somebody hurts themselves here, they're covered by a public
Yeah, there's a lot
liability
more
here.
chance on that field because it's, you know, there is little parts on it where
There are positions
I
where
will
you
check for you.
There's a big slope there that you walk down, you can.
I don't
Where
think it's
did
worth
you go?
second guessing, is it? I think
no, I think it's worth
I
it.
need to ask you insurers about position and if I can do that, not a problem.
it. Whatever the risk is, there'll be a value.
Second,
sort
sorry.
of at the risk of the event.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So I'll ask the insurers, because I know the buildings are covered. I haven't pulled your insurance pieces, to be honest, because the renewal was due as soon as I started.
Yeah.
So you just paid it. So I must admit, I haven't read through it. I've asked them a couple of questions, but they were really basic ones. And basically that's certificates, wasn't it? Which we probably don't need anymore. But I can find that out. So what you're going to do with this item, you're going to say defer it till you find out the insurance position.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we agree in principle,
Yeah.
subject to the clarification.
I guess if our insurance costs double, if we say we're going to charge £10 an hour to use the IROS, then it may not be worth us to do it. You know, so
Subject to further investigation, isn't
Yes.
it?
So can I just check? The IROS is the green bit.
The big
Yeah.
thing on the
Okay, so let's make sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
Bit related.
okay. Okay, and then bring it back in February?
Okay.
Should have information by then. Okay.
Then the next item is to do with the old Pickmere Photographic Society. I think this has been discussed several times before, in the previous council. We want to have a new interpretation board. They would like to make a donation to that. So are we happy to accept the donation? And
Well, I think that when they did it initially, they wanted some. The Photographic Society was started by my father, 30 years ago now, because he's been dead for 5 years. So I think that I certainly know from the previous parish council that they wanted something, a board, and they wanted some input from the piece about my father on there, because there was £600 or 650, something like that left. I've priced the interpretation boards anyway, but I suppose it depends on what you're actually putting on it as to how it is, isn't it, as well?
I think that actually we'd started thinking about 3 boards, hadn't we? Along the pavilion, on the pavilion walls, because
I certainly know that there was this contribution from the
Yeah.
club, because Gina fetched it up actually, because
Yeah.
I think Roy, when he took over from my dad, there was this money left over that probably had been in there from when my dad set it up, because and I think Gina mentioned it to Roy and just said, look, we need to be doing something with this.
Well,
Somebody's actually sent me a message tonight who was on the photography club and just said that if you're doing this, I think that there should be some reference to your father. So I know that that's how it was always.
Well, that was what Rory said when he first approached us in May this year.
well, that was said last time as well.
Yes, it was.
It was going to be, and I think Chris Tarrant was actually working with on
I
it.
think Chris had already virtually done it, I do.
Yeah, I think it might be worth, in terms of that, just contacting Chris Tarrant. But I'm going to say that this current moment in time, I think we just maybe hold back for a month or so on that, please.
what are we going to do then?
I'll tell you after the meeting.
Okay, so this item is to allow me to progress it further with the club and to look at the money they have, how far it would go, what we could do to bring it back.
I think the interpretation boards, I think that they were about 1,200, about 1,000 to 1,200 the one that I priced.
I think they're quite well advanced in terms of going over.
All right, so proposal is that we allow the clerk to
Talk to them.
talk to the group, explore further, get numbers.
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
Ideas. Yeah. Okay.
Good thing.
Okay, next one is the E-Day celebration.
Yes.
It's just the 80th anniversary next year. I think we should, as a village, mark that anniversary.
Definitely.
Looking forward to hiring a tank to run with the others.
Really?
I've got a mate who's got a land.
You suggest we invade Winchester then, or across the line?
I think the 6th is the third again. The 6th, so
Is it going to be a public holiday?
no,
No.
no.
But
So we're looking at either the 8th or the 1st or 2nd.
the second is when they're doing the official, in Normandy, the official memorandum.
What day is it?
Relation.
Commemoration.
Probably be a good day.
What day is it?
2nd of June.
So it's just
Do we make the same day or?
Oh, would you want it? Well, we could have it on the 1st.
Is the second the weekend or something?
Yeah.
Second's Sunday, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but we could do the 1st, which is a Saturday, or we could do it the following one, Saturday, which is the 8th.
I think, I mean, jumping ahead to the next item, the events that Simon has suggested includes one at the end of June, so I think the earlier it is in June, the better, really,
Right, well, that would,
to
would you want to do the Saturday or the Sunday?
So I think that Sundays are difficult.
Would it be an idea, I mean, it's a good enough time away to say that
It's either a yes or no.
on that weekend, and then just look at who and what's available for that. So, because it might be that there's what we'd like to have available on the Sunday isn't available because it's being used for the other celebrations. So we may want to do it on Saturday. So investigate what Lorraine thinks might be a good idea.
Okay.
And then maybe in February come back with a preferred date.
Is this a parish council? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I would
Although
say is
I would do it, I was talking to Chris about it as well, Chris Town, because we've got to Chris Town. I think did you say wanted to be involved?
No, I said I'd like to be involved.
I mean, it doesn't really matter who gets involved.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm ex-Royal Navy, I'd like to be involved.
Okay, so the proposal is that we say it's going to be the first weekend of June.
just one thing on that is the weekend at the end of the school half-term holiday.
also kids are on holiday.
They're on holiday, but people might be away.
Yeah.
That's quite a popular week for people to go away, so you may miss out on people being here to take
I didn't
part
know about that, yeah.
if they're away. That would
The trouble is, that half term, there are people away in the first week and the people away in the second week because of where it's all around with the holidays are sorted.
But what are they
Well, I
doing
think-
here? That it's what's round here, isn't it? Not what's round anywhere.
Well, that's Lymm and Warrington.
Yeah,
So not the Cheshire East might be the other weekend.
North Ruddy, lovely.
You've got as many children from this area going to, you know, my son went to Holy Chapel. Went to Lethbridge, so-
I think you're right, but it's that weekend, isn't it?
But that puts it as the weekend in the middle when potentially both weeks of people are away. Whereas if you put it
If you do
the
it
following
on
weekend,
the
although it's closer to this other event,
Yes, do it the following week.
more people are maybe going to be around.
What
All right, so
we
the
think.
proposal has been amended to.
Yeah.
Weekend, the 8th and
Well, I
9th.
think, let's do some data analysis. Yeah. Let's say it's going to be either the first or second week in June,
Yeah,
subject to what's available on those days, and subject to a whole of the relevant schools.
Right.
I'll let that. I've got a feeling that. Why not? But I shall let you have those dates and
yeah, let's just,
just collect them from all the usual suspect schools.
okay.
Okay,
That'd be great.
and then I'm actually 15 minutes to go. We've got the final item, which is that's the event that the Tweeds Group would like to hold in 2024. We've got Sir Simon Reed.
Sorry, just to let you know, 27th, 31st for Cheshire East. Of May,
So that weekend was at the
Yeah,
end of,
that is, yeah.
end of May.
yes, but that weekend.
Yeah, no,
First and second on the weekend at the end of that half. Okay.
Cheshire East.
That was Cheshire East.
The community room.
Yeah, basically, they'd like to run those events, the standard events they've run in the past, so it's just putting those forward. The Easter Bunny is fairly straightforward. We've got a few people who keep asking about Pubs by the Lake. We actually still have a deposit with, the,
Midnight camp.
thank you, Midnight Council. That's good. Part of the Christmas giving, which we obviously standard ones, and the fun day, which combined with what was done this year, I think it'd be nice to get that properly running.
Giving trees and then red line, so.
Yeah, it is, it's a red line, but it's one of the giving trees, basically, we just,
Can I ask you, Simon?
yeah.
Because a lot of the things I was looking at doing, I wanted, but I know that there's going to be a meeting with the community group in January, so this will come up then, and I'm just asking you now. So if any of these make money, where will the money go? I mean,
Money goes into the community group's account, bank account, and then is used to either support and fund other activities. And then, when requested, if we can support.
Your stop benches and.
Yeah.
because I was looking, I have to be honest, once I started, I was hoping to make money, obviously I didn't, but I did learn. I was looking at focusing on certain things, so like, you know, each event I would have focused on, say, the village hall.
Well, we can do that.
Playground,
Yeah.
or the turtle.
We can do that. The thing you've got with the community groups, you will already have money in there to stop, which I know, for instance, let's go back to the Christmas event, Christmas market. You said you had to pay out for some extra boxes. No, I know it's neither here nor there, but what that would have meant is we could have already had that, and if we needed to, that money would be there, and then there's a full accounting process, and then any profit could be focused directly on something. So yeah, I mean, if we wanted to target a particular event, then why not? Because what we do is we check the accounts, and any profit then can then be used as a donation. So
The problem with the community group is there is no transparency whatsoever. Nobody gets to find out what money there is, how much money is made, anything like that. And then we as a council have to come cap in hand for money that's been raised on basically the village land and say, can we have £500 towards a bench? It's, you know, is if we had these events ourselves and ran them ourselves like a party,
the council shouldn't be running events.
No,
the council shouldn't be running events.
Well, it was the councillors who ran the event last time.
But can we have a point here? There's no legal reason why council cannot run an event.
No, but I mean, as I
Let's
said,
not.
well, let's go back to what Lorraine asked. Yes, I can't see that being a problem.
Yeah, that's all I was thinking, Stanley, is,
Right, and I
you
think
know,
It shouldn't be going back into your bank account. It should be coming straight back to something, straight back to.
no, it has to go to an independent bank account. It can't go into someone's account or the parish council account. And by having a separate account and by having the finances, we can see where the money is going, and that any profit that's.
Well, can it not be set up? Can you not change the format of the community group, reset it up and do it?
Well, that's not something to be spoken about here. That's something to be spoken about in the January meeting if you want to come to that.
Okay.
But that was why the community group was set up originally, was because it was separate, it was completely separate from the council.
Yeah.
And then as it went on in time, the community.
It was only ever
group
run
became
by
councillors.
by council. Do you know?
No, it wasn't, not originally, no, it was originally.
Well, Steve was on the council when it was set up, wasn't he?
Yes,
No,
Brenda.
but he wasn't. He was part of it. It was run by Brenda, Manon. I can, you know, it wasn't.
But it
Basically,
it
I
was
came to
separate.
council having been part of the community group for 11 years.
2002, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I joined in
Okay.
2003.
I think,
But,
well, interesting history, not really part of
No,
this meeting. I think what we do need to do is, I mean, certainly for, I'd like to say, get rid of the Easter Bunny, and we won't be charging Easter Bunny to put David on there.
the ladies' eggs.
Because I think there is a good point here about how money raised by the community benefit the community. I mean, we've been talking about refurbishing the playground on Clover Drive. I think that started when my kids were still using the playground to Clover Drive, and it still hasn't been refurbished. So I think maybe that's something that we can look at as a target for money. And I think we've got.
that's one that has been discussed, I think,
I think we've got this meeting in January.
pre-COVID, yeah.
But members of the council can go and talk to members of the community group and just work out a mechanism. And I think the other thing that struck me today when we were talking about bill money, it is a situation where if we have an infrastructure project and the community group give us money for the infrastructure project, then we can't take that off our payments, the money that we've taken in. So maybe a different mechanism by which donations are made to the council, rather than telling the council what to do with the money. It might be.
We haven't. They're only. It's only in the accounts as a donation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, but the implication in tonight's meeting was we're getting £500 towards the bench as a donation. So we can't now put that against infrastructure because it's a donation for that bench. The 200.
Well,
so it might be a technicality, but that's what we discussed in this council meeting, and that's what the truth is.
but it's like all of the things that, as Jane will tell you, about benches, memorial benches, you make a donation.
Okay.
Well, that doesn't go down very well with my mum because
No, I don't.
Okay, but not bring it back.
That's the principle.
But I
it
think
wasn't. She was asked for the money and then told afterwards that she donated the money and she hadn't donated the money. She'd give it to buy my dad's bench, and that's the difference. She was told afterwards that it wasn't her bench, when actually fact the parish council do nothing to actually manage any of them benches, which they're supposed to. So we end up having to look after it ourselves, which we do.
that's not the item.
It is, it's another agenda.
So I just think maybe looking at that, because the way it's written in our meeting today, that is the donation for a bench. You can't, but maybe we just need to look at the mechanism by which donations are made and what they're made for. That's all something for the January meeting, I think. Yeah.
February.
Yeah, or if you decide that you're going to do the play back, it's going to cost you more than £10,000
Yeah.
put new equipment on.
Yeah.
So you can always bill for not and any of donations and grants that are paid for.
Yeah, well, we're talking orders to mention more than expenditure, maybe not, but 5-6 times more than £10,000 to do that payment.
So
That's the sort of target.
is that included in it as well?
I'll have to go into the specs. The posts aren't on our land, but it belongs to somebody else. But that's another story. Okay, we've got 5 minutes to go, so we have to close the meeting. Thanks very much, everybody.